Have you ever thought, I wish school could actually nurture what my kid is passionate about? Well, with K-12 powered schools, it absolutely can. Whether your child is obsessed with coding, dreams of being an artist, loves digging into science experiments, or even wants to start their own business, K-12 creates a learning experience built around them. This isn't your typical online learning. K-12 is a tuition-free, accredited online public school for grades K through 12. They've got certified teachers trained in online instruction and over 25 years of experience helping kids grow in the direction they want to go. And the flexibility, absolutely life-changing. School can happen whenever there's internet, home, grandma's, or even on the road for that midweek family trip, because learning shouldn't stop when life happens. So if your kid has a spark, something that they light up talking about, give them the space to explore it. See why more than 3 million families have chosen K-12 to empower their students. Go to k12.com/NGM today to learn more. That's the letter K, the number 12.com/NGM. K12.com/NGM. Welcome to the No Guilt Mom podcast. I'm your host, Joanne Crone, joined here by the brilliant Bree Tucker.
Why, hello, buddy. How are you?
We are talking today about how our digital life really interacts with motherhood and how tech could affect that. Bree, do you see in your life, how your phone affects how you parent?
Oh, yeah, at least on the bare minimum, because everything is at your fingertips. I guess that's what I would start with, because you and I, our kids, we had them in the early 2000s, right before 2010. And I feel like back then, you could look up some questions, but not as much as you can now. So now, if there is anything that happens with my kids, I immediately jump on my phone, probably social media, and I can see a bazillion different people either giving me comfort that it's a normal thing or freaking me out that it's a sign of something terrible to come. So,
I go more toward the freak out. I feel like social media gives me more to the freak out.
Yeah, it's a crapshoot, man. And I am so happy I didn't have that when my kids were little.
Yeah.
As you guys know, mine are 17 and 18 now. I would think it's a lot harder these days to have a little with all this.
I would think so too. Yeah. Well, helping us through this entire topic is Amanda Hess. She is a writer at large for the New York Times and the author of the thought-provoking new book, Second Life: Having a Child in the Digital Age. Her work explores what it means to be alive today, especially how technology is reshaping our relationships with each other and with ourselves. Amanda brings deep insight, sharp wit, and a unique cultural lens to everything she writes. She's also a mom to 2 boys, ages 3 and 5, and her perspective on parenting in our tech-saturated world is both honest and incredibly timely. We can't wait to start this conversation. Let's get on with the show. Welcome, Amanda, to the podcast. We are so happy to have you here and talk all things tech and parenting.
Thank you so much for having me. That was such a sweet intro. It made me feel really good about where my life is right now.
So thank you. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I can completely identify with what you're saying, Amanda, because sometimes you don't realize how accomplished you are until somebody else reads how accomplished you are. And you're like, damn, I sound great. I'm like,
I know.
amazing.
And then you're like, oh, and she has 2 boys and they're 3 and 5. And I'm like, yeah, I do.
I do have that.
It's so amazing. I have to remind myself sometimes. Yeah. It's amazing.
Yeah. So your book, all about how tech really shapes motherhood, it is unlike any book that I've read on this subject. So often we are used to talking about how screen time affects kids, but we don't get to examine how the actual tech and the apps we use really affect us. And you talk about your pregnancy and the apps you were using then. And I want to have you take us back. What was the moment in your pregnancy when you realized technology wasn't just supporting your experience, but actually shaping your entire experience?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I use this app called Flow to track my periods for many years, and I loved it. I felt like I only had to use it once a month, and it told me when my period was coming. And then if I felt super sad for no reason, I had this like context as to why. And it was just like a helpful tool for understanding myself. And then as I started thinking about having kids, I started noticing like it was telling me when it thought I was most fertile. And I was like, "Oh,
Mm.
that's interesting." And my husband and I were sort of like talking about when we should start. And I felt like I was constantly reminded, like every month, when I was like missing the opportunity to do
Oh,
it.
that's
Oh.
stressful.
I know. And then I, was so lucky to get pregnant very easily. And so I was like, oh my God, the app just like totally worked instantly. It like made it feel like it was like really helpful when probably it's just that, it just happened to be easy for me. But then immediately after I turned Flow from like period mode to pregnancy mode, it
Mhm.
turned into this entirely different kind of app where period mode
Oh.
was like, it was kind of like styled like a diary, and it had sort of like girlish touches to it. And then pregnancy mode was like, you have this goal now and it is creating this baby. And like, this is like the sort of disciplinary program that you can go through to like enhance your chances of like creating the best baby. So it's like, this week, you should be eating this kind of green vegetable. And this week, you should be eating these kinds of seeds or whatever. And then it also had like kind of like CGI floating, first just like cells and then like an
Mhm.
embryo and then like a fetus every time you open the app. And every week it would transform into like a more developed fetus.
Yeah.
And I realized like it was later in my pregnancy that I realized that like I was opening this app that had this fetus that it was like serving to all of the millions of pregnant people who are using the app, that I
Mhm.
was looking at as if it were like my actual child. Like I was looking at it as if when I saw it, I was connecting with my baby.
Through like this digital kind of representation of it that wasn't your baby, but it's the brain does funny things.
Yeah, and it made it seem as if Flo like actually knew something about my pregnancy beyond the only thing it knew, which was the due date that I plugged in there. And it was only later. My story is that when I was 7 months pregnant, I had just like a surprising ultrasound where the doctor found some unusual markers in my son. And it took a month after that to get a diagnosis for this rare genetic disorder called Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome. And
Oh.
one of the features of Beckwith is a very large tongue. So this was the first thing that the doctor saw on the ultrasound. And I remember looking at the Flo baby after that ultrasound and realizing like, actually my baby doesn't look like this, and feeling as if I had been lied to. And that's when I understood that I was like more emotionally attached to this app
Yeah.
than it seemed like I should be, or that I realized that I was before.
I can 100% see that happening.
That is so insightful, Amanda, that you knew at the time you were so emotionally attached to the app. Because when you describe your story about these seeds you should eat during this week, it just took me back to this pressure that we put on moms and we put on women having kids to grow this best baby possible. And then if something happens with the baby, it's almost like the woman goes back and was like, well, it's my fault because I didn't do these things.
Yeah, the seeds.
Yeah, the seeds. My niece was born with a cleft palate in the back.
Mhm.
And the first thing my sister said to us was she's like, well, that happened like 5 to 6 weeks. Like, what did I do?
Mhm.
And we're like, no, you didn't do anything. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I know, and I think that whole setup of, like, expectation and blame, it set me back in terms of being a good parent to my son, because I understand now disability is normal. It's like a normal human variation, and also the idea that I was to blame for something meant that there was, like, something wrong with my son, which there's not. And
Mhm.
so I think it meant that I had to, like, sort of work through all of these issues of, like, what caused this before I could just like accept that that is like how my son was made. That's how he is. And that's how we are as a family.
Yeah. And it's all about how it shapes your identity too as a mom. And that's something that I want to get into right after this break.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Fiscally responsible, financial geniuses, monetary magicians. These are things people say about drivers who switch their car insurance to Progressive and save hundreds. Visit progressive.com to see if you could save. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states or situations. Hey, want to make this holiday season truly magical and fun for your kids? Grown Up Holiday Volume 2 from Platoon is the perfect soundtrack for all those special family moments, and it's available now. This 4-track EP features all your favorite artists, Sammy Arriaga, Tyler James Bellinger, Jaden Michaels, and Heather Russell. So you're in for a treat as they bring to life songs that capture the excitement and wonder kids feel this time of year. But it's more than just fun tunes. These songs are made for the moments that really matter. Hanging lights, wrapping presents, decorating the tree, or sharing a little festive groove in the living room. You can stream Growin' Up Holiday Volume 2 right now on any of your favorite music apps. So round up the family, turn up the volume, and let the music bring everyone together this holiday season.
Somehow it's already December. And if your calendar looks anything like mine, it is packed between getting ready for the holidays and celebrating both my birthday and my daughter's birthday this month. Let's just say the gift list is long, and I feel like my to-do list is just ready to overflow into January already. That is why I've been doing a ton of shopping on Wayfair. It has everything. I picked up a new set of guest towels, and I even grabbed a few last-minute gifts for family all in one place. And yes, it all shipped super fast and arrived right on time. It has been a lifesaver. Wayfair makes it easy to tackle your home goals and gift lists with endless inspiration for every space and budget. Whether you're hosting, gifting, or trying to finally get that guest room together, Wayfair helps you do it without all the stress. So get last-minute hosting essentials, gifts for all of your loved ones, and decor to celebrate the holidays for way less. Head to wayfair.com right now to shop all things home. That's WAYFAIR.com. Wayfair. Every style, every home. So, Amanda, in your book, you talk about using these apps and then also the data that's associated with these apps to then target you. I'm reading this book right now called Careless People by Sarah Wynne Williams. She was the Facebook
Yes, I just read that
whistleblower.
too.
Oh, you read it too. So
Yeah,
Oh, I'm out of the club. I didn't read it.
it's great. There's a shark attack involved, even though it's a book about Facebook. It's really good. Yeah, you got to read it.
Ooh, you got me there. You got me there. I'm making a note.
Shark Attack, everybody out there, go read Careless People. In it, I was so interested on how these tech companies look at people and users and how there is no sort of moral outlook on it. For example, with your pregnancy, there was no sort of conversation about like, oh, how could we make sure people are supported? How can we make sure people feel good? It was just all in terms of, I think the driving factor in this book is growth, 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 growth. How could we grow our base? How could we grow our users? How could we make more money? How could we do all this? One of those ways that I know Facebook in particular did that growth is through advertising. And you write about being bombarded with the mama messaging and the hyper personalized ads within days of your positive test, which I'm guessing was something that Flow kind of didn't sell to Facebook, but that Facebook had access to through ads. How do you think the surge of marketing shapes this early identity formation for parents? Like, how did that affect how you felt about yourself when you were pregnant with this baby?
Yeah. I mean, I think it took about 24 hours after my pregnancy test for Instagram to start serving me like pregnancy themed ads. And it could have been through Flow. Yeah, Flow just is subject of a lawsuit, like a class action lawsuit from users who are accusing it of improperly sharing personal data with Facebook. But also, I was like Googling and going to WebMD, which is a huge driver of like targeted advertising, which is really sad because you're like, do I have a brain tumor into WebMD? And WebMD is like, no, but now I know that you're afraid of that. And so I don't know what information was getting to Instagram, but they knew that I was pregnant right away. And my husband was out of town. And so I hadn't even told him yet. And so it created this sensation that my phone actually knew more about me than like even my closest relationships, my husband or my friends. And even like as the weeks went on, I wasn't telling all of my friends yet. I hadn't told my workplace. And so it almost made it feel like I had this secret with my phone. And the phone was like the place that I could go to talk about it or think about
Mm.
it. It became this place where like it was like the repository for like all of my sort of expectations and fears around that. And with the way that the internet is structured right now, those fears are instantly turned into advertising.
Yeah, advertising, marketing. I mean, what you say, like, I've had that happen where you're just talking about something and then all of a sudden it pops up online, not knowing how they got that data, where that data came from. And it's incredibly scary. And it's also incredibly isolating because you say, like, you felt like you were sharing a secret with your phone. And that's an incredible, scary relationship to have this secret, which is usually shared between humans with a digital device.
Yeah. And it was also at a time, I don't know if you experienced this with your pregnancies, but, I found an OB, but they didn't want to see me until I was like 6 or 8 weeks pregnant. So
Okay.
it meant that like the information that I was getting about my pregnancy like was coming through these ads. One of the
Yeah.
first ads I got was for like a fancy prenatal vitamin that was like very I remember the ad because the woman had this beautiful manicure who was like holding this transcendent pill. And like for me, as someone who had never been pregnant before, I just bought the prenatal vitamins off the shelf. But
Yeah.
later, then, of course, all of that messaging that's like, you should do more, you should spend more.
Yep.
Later, when something unusual happens in a pregnancy, it's not that I feel like I should have bought that prenatal vitamin, but there is this sense that I could have
Hmm.
done something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Girl, I 100% relate to that. I had an eventful first pregnancy too. And you just sit there and you question. And then people ask you questions too. And in your case, I guess your phone. and and you feel like you're being interrogated about what decisions you made. And like,
Yeah.
oh, what prenatal are you on? Okay, yeah. You know that fish oil is really, really good for brain development. And you're like, oh, okay. Should I change?
Yeah. And I also feel like as women, like we go through our lives with these expectations about how we are supposed to like live in our bodies, what our bodies are supposed to look like, what we're supposed to put in them, like how we're supposed to move them. And for me, I tried to live my life not really concerning myself much with that. But then in pregnancy, it felt like, okay, this is like the final exam. This is like the test to make sure that there's all this
Oh,
random stuff that you're like not supposed to do. And like, you better not do it. It's fine. Like, there's only like your child's life on the line or whatever.
that's it.
It's
Yeah. If you
totally
mess up this,
casual.
only your child's life. Yeah.
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 And you'll only be reminded every single day for the rest of your life about how you may or may not have made a decision to impact everything. Yeah.
Yeah. All these judgments that I had tried to kind of ignore, I felt like I couldn't ignore anymore. And they were just like crashing down on me.
I would say that's a very different experience than what I had because mine were born in '07 and '08. I still had it, but I can't imagine having it fed to me, presented to me. I had it just by through conversations and chat boards and whatnot. I wasn't having Alexa, Facebook, Instagram, Amazon feeding me everything.
Well, it's a great point because a lot of moms use these apps to feel more in control. Just like Brie, you were using like the Facebook and the boards to feel in control. Now moms are going to these apps.
Yeah.
And Amanda, you write that these apps can create more anxiety than actual comfort. So, how do you think parents can recognize when this tech is regulating them instead of supporting them?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I felt like I had to sort of like live through this experience in order to get over it. And then in my second pregnancy, it felt like a spell had been broken or something like
Mhm.
that. But I found myself wishing that instead of engaging so much with this like very online information about pregnancy, I had recognized that I needed this outlet where I was like thinking about being pregnant all the time. And like, there are so many wonderful books that are about
Yeah, yeah.
pregnancy that I had been ignoring my whole life that like you can pick up. Not like what to expect when you're expecting, but like, you know, novels and like nonfiction books about just like this experience and how fraught and powerful it is to like bring somebody into the world. And so I think if I had recognized that like I was obsessed and I didn't necessarily need to like bring that obsession into this dinky app, which didn't have that much to tell me actually, that might have been helpful.
Yeah. And also in your book, what astounded me was the idea of like data brokers. Your investigation into data brokers was wild. How you discovered your due date could be bought for 1/10 of a cent.
Mhm.
Tell us more about that.
It's really mind-boggling because of course we know that online data is a huge trillion-dollar industry and it makes so much money. But when you look at yourself as an individual, your value is so low to these people. It's like
Mm.
startling. So for me, yeah, you're right. It was like a tenth of a cent or something for my child's due date, which for me was like at that time the most interesting, like consequential piece of like personal data I had
Yeah.
ever produced. And just to know that it can make them so much money while being on the individual level worth so little, I think really just like helps you understand how unimportant you are as like an individual human to these companies. Yeah.
Yeah, and it also just makes you sit there and be like, "Okay." It would make me feel like I don't want any help the second time around, right?
Mm.
Or any help with anything big in my life that technology says that it could help, and it probably could genuinely help, but so jaded, so hurt, so feeling violated that it's like, "Fine, I'm not gonna listen to anybody about anything now going forward. I'm not gonna tell any details." And then that makes you almost paranoid in a way that causes stress and anxiety that would make it even harder,
Yeah. I mean, I
right?
think one of the tricky things about all of this tech is like these are like very easy, like relatively cheap individual solutions for this social lack of care of
Mm.
pregnant people, of mothers. And for me, I was privileged and fortunate enough to be able to hire a doula who like was just someone I could call whenever anything happened during my pregnancy, who had seen 800 births, you know?
Mhm.
And she's still in my life and I love her so much. And everyone should have that. And it should be like the government should assign you a doula when you get pregnant, as opposed to like, yeah, like a prenatal
So
vitamin
many
ad or
things.
whatever. But that's not the world that we live in right now. And so these apps are saying, like, I'll hold your hand. I'll appear here with you. I'll be here with you.
But they're not real people. And that's the
Exactly.
Yes.
the problem that we're running into. And right after this, I want to delve into more about how it really affected your relationship with your kids.
It's that time of year again. When you start arranging pumpkins on the stoop, try out a new cranberry sauce recipe and plan out a tablescape that'll outdo last year's. In other words, it's when you break out all your DIY holiday skills. And now, ADT is making it easy to DIY your home security too. Their systems aren't just simple to set up, they also fit within your budget. So get excited for your next project because your peace of mind just went DIY. Visit ADT.com or call 1-800-ADT ASAP. When every second counts, count on ADT.
You know, the holidays are supposed to be joyful, but let's be honest, between travel, gifts, hosting family, and all the last minute school events, it gets real chaotic. And somewhere in all that chaos, my budget used to completely disappear. But not this year because I've got Monarch. Monarch is this amazing all-in-one personal finance tool. It was named the best budgeting app of 2025 by the Wall Street Journal. And once I started using it, I immediately saw how fast my holiday spending was adding up. I had no idea how close I was to blowing my budget already. Monarch connects everything: spending, savings, investments, even your home value in one clean, easy interface. So no spreadsheets, just real control. And right now, Monarch is offering 50% off your first year just for No Guilt Mom listeners. Don't let financial opportunity slip through the cracks. Use code NOGUILT at monarch.com in your browser for half off your first year. That's 50% off your first year at monarch.com with code NOGUILT.
DSW, Designer Shoe Warehouse, is the one-stop shop for all your footwear needs. With sneakers, boots, and everything in between for every style, mood, and occasion, you'll definitely find shoes that get you at prices that get your budget. DSW has what you need, but more importantly, they have what you didn't even know you wanted. You never know what you'll find at DSW. Find the shoes that get you at prices that get your budget at DSW stores or DSW.com.
So, Amanda, right before the break, we were talking about how these apps aren't real people, but they're here to make us feel a little bit better, a little less alone in pregnancy, especially in our culture right now of how pregnant women aren't supported. How did you find that all of this technology use and these apps you were using started to interfere with your relationship with your own kids?
I think, first of all, pregnancy is such an experience of like imagining. You're imagining what your future life is going to be like, and you have no idea, and it's hard to know, but you're sort of like imagining what your child is going to be like. And for me, once I found that my child had a rare genetic condition, I was just using the internet to like fill in the holes in my imagination. And I found that that was actually really damaging to my understanding of my child. It was literally like the moment that he was born, I had a C-section, and my husband came over with the baby, and he was like, "He's so cute." And I was like, "Oh my God, he's so cute." It was like a revelation. Of course, like, he's a human baby. He's my baby. Of course, I find him the most adorable person alive. But I had built up this idea in my mind just based on like, if you Google a rare disorder, you find like tabloid coverage of this disorder. You find
Oh, yeah.
children on Reddit who are like making jokes about it, stuff like that.
Mm.
And because I had never
Yeah.
met anyone with Beckwith-Wiedemann syndrome, I was like
Yeah.
stealing myself for like having a child who would be stigmatized in this way. And then when he came out, I was like, oh, here he is in a human context. And I had been totally missing the human context just by like trying to construct him online. But I think the other thing that happened that I think is more universal is like these pregnancy apps, they were really training me to get used to the idea of being surveilled by some outside source that was like, are you doing these things correctly? Are you getting 30 minutes of exercise every day? Prenatal yoga doesn't count. This
Ugh.
percentage of
I
women
really
are
would love to give the finger to that app right now.
I know.
Well, it's so interesting because a lot of these apps are made by men who have never had this experience.
But they have had the experience of surveilling women, frankly,
True.
But I think what happened was I got used to this like kind of outside authority telling me what to do, even if I didn't always do what it was saying. But
Mhm.
then when my son was born, I realized the technology was now like, okay, you, Amanda, the mom, now you are the person whose like job it is to surveil your son, and we have all of these like data-driven tools to help you do that because you can't do it alone because you don't know what you're doing, and also you're very, very tired. So I felt like, at that time, my son was born in 2020 and it's only accelerated
Oh, my
since
God.
then.
That is so
Yeah.
hard. Oh,
Yeah, pandemic baby, along with all the
Yeah.
data and apps.
COVID was happening too.
yeah. Don't even add that to the conversation. And the apps were like, "Whoa."
I know, right? They're like, you really have no help, do you? There's nobody coming to save you.
Nobody but me.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
they would like produce these kind of like data fields about my child, like how he was sleeping, that made me feel like like he could be compared to random other babies that people were talking about on the internet and like sharing their baby stats. And also
Ugh.
that the data he was producing was like something that I, as the mother, was like it was my responsibility to, like, improve on, to, like, extend the naps or, like, extend the nights or
Oh.
whatever, and so it felt like getting a report card every morning.
It felt like this achievement-based thing where instead of being able to enjoy motherhood, well, live through actually those first early months where you're not getting much sleep and it's horrible. But instead of being able to enjoy those small moments, you're really
Mm.
fixated on the what you're not doing right, what you're not doing optimally. That could create a lot of stress.
Right, and babies are like human individuals, and so, of course, there's wisdom that you can learn about what babies like and how to put them to sleep, but at the end of the day, like, you cannot control them. They are so, like, outside of your control, and so I think these apps sort of gave this fantasy where if I couldn't control them, at least I could precisely see in a graph exactly what was happening with them. And I don't know, I mean, also, like, having a child who had some special medical needs when he was born really made me aware of how so much baby gear now is, like, quasi-medical stuff,
Oh,
even though it's marketed to, like, perfectly healthy babies.
oh, tell me more about that. Yeah.
Yeah, so there's the Owlet. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's a
Uh-huh.
smart sock that you put on your baby's foot, and it tells you if they're breathing, it tells you what their heart rate is. And so the idea is that if, like, God forbid, your baby stops breathing, it will, like, blare an alarm at you to go check on your child. I didn't use the Owlet myself, but I spoke with a lot of people who did use it, and there are so many experiences of people who are like, the app was, like, constantly blaring an alarm even though nothing was wrong because the
Oh my
sock had just, like,
gosh.
fallen off a little bit.
Falling off. That's what I think immediately. I'm like, babies kick socks off so easily.
I swear that the outlet started as a mat you put on your mattress. I feel like
There
that's
is
where
a
it
mat
started.
too. There's a mat
Okay.
too. Yeah, there's so many different kinds of things that do this. I mean, there's, like, machine learning cameras that upload your baby's data to the cloud and tell you if they're breathing.
Right. We know that that is not a way to live. That's like, oh my
Yeah,
God.
Amanda, I would have bought it. I would have bought it
I
if it was
know.
there. I had such crippling anxiety about my kids not breathing.
I know. It's not wrong to have that anxiety and that fear. Like, that
Yeah.
is a thing that
Mhm.
happens, but none
Hmm.
of these products are, like, approved as a solution for SIDS. None of them prove that they improve outcomes
Right.
at
It
all.
just feeds you, it feeds that anxiety that they know you're going to
Yeah,
have.
Mhm.
yeah,
Something like Life 360, for instance, when, you're talking about all this tech stuff for babies and how parents feel like they're in control by using these tech stuff. For older kids, as kids go over, there's Life 360, which is kind of like an outlet for kids. I mean, if we look at it, because you are so anxious about your kids getting into some kind of accident or your kids falling into some kind of fate, that you're constantly bringing up where they are on their phone. And if they're somewhere where you're like, oh my gosh, they shouldn't be there, alarm bells go off. And like something like Life 360 has no proven outcome to keep kids safer. It's only feeding anxiety over and over and over again. And I feel like that is the thread in all of these apps. None of them make the world safer. It
Hmm.
just feeds this anxiety and this idea that we're in control.
right. And something like the Owlet, you're, like, putting on you as a parent have anxiety, so you're putting this device, like, on your child's body. And so I
Yeah.
do wonder, like, how that encourages them to grow up just feeling like technology is literally, like, a part of them, just like a part
Hmm.
of their skin and a part of their routine, and that they should be watched all the time in
All the
this
time.
way.
Yeah. My husband is like, delete Life 360. Like, this is his personal mission because he feels this way too. Like, the surveillance is crazy, crazy.
Mhm.
And I would also say it's breaking that just focus on the Life 360 aspect of it as your kids get older. It's breaking that ability of your children to problem solve and think about what they should do going forward. Because I can guarantee you, my kids are like, I don't need to tell you where I'm going. If I got kidnapped, it would show up on Life 360. No, it wouldn't. A kidnapper would turn off your dang phone. Be smart. Come on. Right? It's almost giving you this, it is giving you a sense of false security. So, like, the tech field is finding okay, where is there a problem in motherhood and how can we fix it? In truth, that is a problem, right? You're worried about going back to the outlet. You're worried about your baby not breathing, not being okay while sleeping. We all know it's a thing, sudden infant death syndrome, like it's all there. It freaks us out. So they're finding the problem and they're solving it without asking themselves, is this really going to be helpful to the mindset or to the mental health of everybody that it's going to the mothers, to the fathers, to everybody? And that's a question they should be asking.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Well, Amanda, this has been such a fascinating interview, and your experience with pregnancy and sharing it with everybody. So needed, because I know probably many moms are feeling the same way about how these apps interfere with the experience. We like to end every podcast with this on a positive note. What is something in your life that you are looking forward to right now?
So I wrote this book and published it this year. It came out in May, and I think I'm like just getting to the place where like I'm starting to like put these ideas down in my mind and start to think about something else, which is so freeing. And I actually just reset my Instagram algorithm, which had been
Oh, that's
so.
amazing. I love it.
Wait,
I
how
do
do you
that too.
reset it? How do you reset it? Let's tell our listeners, not Brie. Let's tell our listeners.
I totally don't remember, but if if you Google like reset my Instagram algorithm, it's actually very easy. But I totally, because
Oh.
I just Googled it, I do not remember.
Okay.
And it will like reset the reels that it shows you. Like for me, I was seeing like medical mom stuff, and then like every other reel was about like Emma Stone's face. And I was like, I need to like do a total
Yeah.
reset. I don't want to see this. Like it knows that like if I'm served a reel about Emma Stone's face, like I will watch it. And if am served a reel that's like the one thing you're doing that's going to like ruin your child's life forever, like I will watch it. So I reset it, and like Instagram started to learn pretty fast like who I was again. Yeah.
Mhm.
Which
Yeah.
made me feel like it might be time for me to leave. But now that I'm sort of like getting out of like book promotion zone, I think I can actually do that. And so I'm excited to take a break.
I
That's
love
exciting.
that for you. I love
That's
that for you.
exciting.
To free all the anxiety and the tech and to be able to live in the moment and
Totally.
to not have the anxieties fed to you on a digital silver platter.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, Amanda, thank you so much for joining us today. And for everyone out there, remember, the best mom is a happy mom. Take care of you, and we'll talk with you later.
Thanks for stopping by.
If you'd like to support the show further, you can share episodes with your loved ones, leave a positive review, or follow us on social media at No Guilt Mom. You could also show your love by visiting our amazing podcast sponsors. We have a link in the show notes.
This episode is brought to you by Marqeta. When it comes to your payments provider, you can't afford to compromise. Marqeta's modern payment solutions flex with your business without the trade-offs. Stable and agile, secure and innovative, scalable and configurable. If they say you can't have it all, don't believe them. Your business demands more. Choose a payments provider that delivers more. Choose Marqeta. Visit marqeta.com/Spotify to learn more.